truth occurs. The truth occurs.
Hi everyone. Well, I put up a video yesterday that I titled Satan Behind Occupy Wall Street. And I mean, I'm used to getting called an idiot and, you know, all kinds of things like that. And that doesn't really bother me. People are entitled to their opinion. But I'm quite blown away by the response to this video. I think this is the most comments I've ever had. And, you know, a lot of them are supportive. You know, a lot of people like the video and all that. But a lot of them are very accusatory and pretty harsh. And it's just amazing to me how as soon as you mention the Bible, things just flare up. You know, you mention the Bible and people start accusing you of being brainwashed and being a shill working for the CIA. Well, they do that kind of stuff, you know, anyway. But you bring up the Bible. All I said was look in the Bible and everybody jumps to conclusions. My beliefs that I've wrapped up right now are the result of my own personal journey, and yours are the result of your own personal journeys. As for religion, I want to make it clear that I don't follow any religion. Now, people said, Sonia, I'm surprised that you're religious. No, I am not religious. Let's make it clear. I very much understand religion is a tool of the New World Order. It's a form of mind control. It's like quite literally puts you through a mind control process when you're in the church or whatever other, you know, religious house of worship or whatever you want to call it. Whenever you're there, you're being subjected to mind control techniques. Not all churches are like this. I know some of them are good. Personally, I actually stopped going to church quite a while ago because I started to see that they were being used as tools, as an extension of the same agenda of the government. I mean, when I went to church and they were saying, you know, to support President Bush, I was just like, I just can't believe I'm hearing this. Another time I went and they were saying how when you're a member of the church, you're like a member of the Olympic team and you can't just do and say and wear whatever you want because you represent the body as a whole. And I just said, I'm sorry, but, you know, I like to retain my capacity for independent thought and to live my life the way that I feel is right for me, and I don't like to have it dictated to me by some kind of dogmatic institution. So let's make it clear, I'm not on board for religion whatsoever, and any more than I am for any other kind of indoctrination. As for the Bible, whether you believe it to be a document inspired by the Holy Spirit or not, and let's separate the Old Testament from the New. Personally, I find that they're very different documents, and within the Old Testament that they are also, again, documents of very different character kind of thrown together. So, but I don't want to get into a religious discussion about that. But whether you believe it to be divinely inspired or not, the point is that I perceive the book of Revelation as being used as a kind of roadmap by the New World Order. And it remains to be seen how all these things about natural disasters and all this will play out. But so far, I see it as being quite accurate in terms of what's happening in the world today. Taking peace, taking peace from the earth. We have the global war on terror. Given just the four horsemen, a sword to conquer, conquering and to conquer. I mean, you have the American military, which is the military arm of the New World Order of the globalists, having bases all around the world. I mean, what other military has that? And, you know, the American military is that arm. Economic collapse, the horse with the black scales. I mean, this is what we are having now. Because of globalization and centralization, we're in a situation where we're facing global economic collapse, something that never really happened this way before. As for the pestilence and famine, well, that could come as a result of economic collapse. But I see this being very relevant. Also, it talks about, you know, a one world government, a one world religion, a cashless society, microchip. This could have never been possible until now. So for whatever reason that this is this way, I see this to be a kind of a roadmap that they're using. Also the moral degeneration of society, which I see especially promoted in our popular culture. And when I look at the leaders of the world, and a lot of this I've learned through the guests that I've had on the radio, and also through my husband, who is involved very much in researching the occult and trying to really understand how the system works. What I see is that whether you believe in, you can call it Satan or Saturn or you know, the evil entity or whatever, you believe in it or not, doesn't really matter so much because the 1% do. If they didn't, they would not be at Bohemian Grove worshiping stone owls and engaging in human sacrifice, you know, which supposedly is a mock sacrifice, but may be a real sacrifice actually. They're not down there playing pin the tail on the donkey. They're engaging in the worship of Babylonian deities. What does that tell you? Also, there have been many times networks of pedophilia and ritual abuse, ritual sacrifice uncovered. Were satanic. There's Pastor Russ Dizdar, who's done a lot of work with the victims of satanic ritual abuse and mind control programming. I mean, he's dealt with people who, you know, they through the trauma and programming, their personalities are split up, and then what happens at some point, sometimes this all starts to break down, and the altars break down, and the whole thing starts to break down, and they start to kind of come out of it, and they can tell you that they've been programmed. And where's the evidence of this? Well, they speak sometimes, I know, ancient languages. He's seen people snap into an alter state upon receiving a phone call and go off to perform rituals in a satanic coven. I mean, this is real, you know. Britney Spears also has shown altars on television. I think it was in an interview with Barbara Walters where she suddenly switches personalities. I mean, these things are real. Who do you think is doing this? You know, this is not some, you know, heavy metal fan writing 666 on the wall. This is much higher up. There are people that, I mean, I'd say that those at the very top of this, what we call pyramid, whether you believe in evil or not, they do, and they worship it and they serve it. But I referred to Revelation in my video because, as I explained to you, I do believe that it's relevant. And I'm not trying to push my spiritual beliefs on you. I'm certainly not trying to push religion on you. But, you know, whether you think it was divinely inspired or you think it was the Illuminati who wrote it, maybe because they're time travelers, it doesn't really matter, because in the end, like I say, that's what they're using as a roadmap, you know, for whatever reason. And the way I see it, those who are using it as a roadmap serve what I could only call evil, whether you call it Satan or Saturn or whatever. They serve evil, and they are playing out the book of Revelation. I mean, honestly, that's what I see, and that's what I've believed for a long time. So, you know, it's tough to come out in public and talk about things like this because, you know, you catch a lot of flack, but I'm just being honest. That's how I see things. So, you know, it's too bad if some people will kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, oh, Sonia, you believe in Revelation, so, yeah, I don't want to listen to you talk about news and politics anymore. That's how it is. And it's tough for me, too, because, yes, I believe in Revelation, and I identify as a Christian, but, you know, I have a weird sense of humor, and so when I do my comedy, I get flack from the Christians, so it's like, I get a lot of flack no matter what I do, but I just do because I do my thing, you know, and I do the comedy because it keeps me sane, and I like to just incarnate different characters from different perspectives. That's just how I like to do it. But anyhow, unfortunately, I really think that this whole Occupy movement is not going to result in what people are hoping it will result in, even though I know they have good intentions, but that's what I really think. That's unfortunately, you know, the state of the world. That's why I said it's ruled by people who serve the devil, and the world is in the grip of the devil. I mean, it sounds simplistic, but it's just one way of saying it, you know. Maybe you can find a better way to explain it. And yeah, please check out my husband's channel, Barbarian Rebellion, if you're interested in the occult and Saturn worship. And thanks for listening to me, and I'll see you next time.